So we're going to make a bar graph today. And the first thing we need to do is we need to make a file. Now, when you make files, you have things called exceptions, which is just like errors, right? And typically, we want to be able to have a way to solve those errors if there's an error. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap all of our code in a try-catch. So you're going to write try and then put a curly brackets. And on NetBeans, when you press enter, the other curly brackets show up. And then you're going to write catch. And we'll just put exception E. And then open and close the brackets. So what this says is, I want you to try to do this. And if there's a problem, just do nothing. So what you want them to try to do, what you want the computer to try to do, you're going to put inside the curly brackets, right? And then if there's a problem, catch the problem, and then do whatever's inside here. So you could have a whole another set of code that you would do if there was a problem. But if there's a problem, I pretty much don't have a program to do, so I'm just not going to do anything if there's a problem, which is a pretty good way to go about life. I'm going to try it, and if I run into a problem, I'll just give up. Right? But that's how I'm doing it for this program. There's other programs where I say if there's a problem, then let's tell the user. If there's a problem, then let's create a file and log it away or something like that. But for us, if there's a problem, we'll just catch it and not do anything with it. Sure. So we're going to make a file. I'm going to call this movies.txt. And as a reminder, does this create a new file?
Yeah.
Does this line right here create a new file? No, it only acknowledges, it tells the computer that there is a file called movies.txt. It does not, however, actually create the file. If I want to create the file, I have to do f.create new file. If you'll remember, this is a harmless function. If the file is already there, this function does nothing. If the file isn't there, it creates it for us. So I'll go ahead and I'll run it. And nothing shows up on the applet. But under Files, for Chapter 6, movies.txt is now a file that's available for me to work with. I could have gone into the folder and made a new notepad text file, but this was just, it's easy, it's convenient. So inside movies.txt, I'm going to put in the information that is over on the board. So we put in the movies and we put in all the data. And so now what we're going to do is my first task is to figure out how many movies there are. Right? Y'all good with that? My first task is I want to find out how many movies there are. So I'm going to delete my create new file. I'll make an integer called num of movies, and I'm going to start it out equaling 0. I deleted the create new file because I didn't need it because I already created a file. I didn't have to delete it, but I just did anyway. I don't care if you delete it. You can leave it there. So I'm going to say that right now at the beginning, I think I have 0 movies. Also, when I make a bar graph, it's really important for me to know the tallest of the bar, right? So I also will make a variable called tallest bar, and I'll start that equal to 0 too, because I'm going to assume that my tallest bar is 0 until I'm proved wrong. So now I'll make a scanner, and I'm going to scan from that file. So then I'm going to do a for loop, and while my scan has next. I could do has next line, but has next is much more robust, and we tend to have fewer problems when you use has next. So I would recommend in your loops that you use has next. The first thing that's in the files, we always put the number, and then we put the name, right? So I will say int number equals scan.next int, and so it'll read the number on that line. And then string name scan.next line. Now I'm not using the word next because next only gets me one word. So on the movies like Finding Nemo, if I did scan.next, I would only get the word finding. But I want the whole word, or the whole movie title, Finding Nemo. So I'm going to do scan.next line so I get the whole chunk, not just one word. If I knew they were all two words, I could do two scan.next. But that's just kind of pointless. I can do one next line. So now that I've saved my information, I need to do two things. First thing I need to do is I need to add one to the number of movies I have. Right? And I'm going to say that my tallest bar will be the maximum of my tallest bar that I know about and the number that I currently have. So if at first, for Finding Nemo, the higher the bar is 15, right? So my tallest bar is 0, and what is the maximum of 0 and 15? 15, right? So then when it goes again, Toy Story comes up with a 40. And so tallest bar is 15. What's the maximum of 40 and 15? 40. So then tallest bar becomes 40. Next up is Monsters, Inc. with 22. What's the maximum of 40 and 22? 40. So tallest bar stays at 40. And so this is an algorithm that you can just use to find the highest number. Right? So I use my scanner. I just scanned really quick, and I found out how many movies there are, and what's the highest number there. And then I'm going to close my scanner because I've read through everything and I've gotten all the information that I need right now. Now I'm going to make a bar graph, and the whole picture will be 300 pixels wide, right? Now, if I have 300 pixels, how do I know how wide each individual bar needs to be? What variable can I use that I just found to find out how wide each individual bar needs to be? Do I use number of movies or tallest bar? Number of movies, because I'm going to take 300 and I'm going to divide it by the number of movies I have. So if I have 30 movies, then each bar would only be 10 pixels wide. But if I have 6 movies, then each bar is 50 pixels wide, right? Make sense? Okay, so I'm going to say int width equals 300 divided by number of movies. I'm also going to make a double called height multiplier, mult. This will be when I multiply by my bars to get them to be tall enough. So if I want my bar graph to be 300 pixels tall, then I'm going to do 300.0 divided by 40. Not 40, I'm sorry. Tallest bar. I also will have an integer to track where my bars are along the x-axis. So I'm going to call it x location. And it'll start out being 0. So that the first movie is to the left, like all the way to the left, x value of 0. And now I'm going to rescan my file. And as I scan my information, I can use that information to draw my bar graph. So I'm going to scan. I've already made the scanner, so I'm just using an old scanner, right? And I'm just going to say, you're brand new now. It's like a makeover for the scanner. And I'm going to tell it to read the file. And now it's going to start back reading the file from the beginning because I closed it and I made it brand new. And while scan.hasNext, I'm going to do a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to put those curly brackets there. First, I want to save the number just like I did before. You could copy and paste from above, but I'm just going to type. The number is scan.nextInt. And the name is scan.nextLine. Okay. So now we're going to do some playing with the code and running it, seeing what we get, and we're going to tweak it a whole lot. So when I say run it, it's not the final product until we say, hey, it's the final product. Got it? Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the height of the bar that we're looking at right now. And this is a loop, and so it'll do it for every individual. So we'll do the first movie, it'll do the second movie, and then it'll do the third movie, and on it goes. So the height is going to be the height multiplier times the number. And I need to tell the computer that this is going to be an integer because we only draw with integers. And so while it won't be exact, it'll be pretty close. And then I'm going to do a G dot draw rectangle. My first two numbers is the X and Y position, so we'll do X location. We'll start out with my Y's being at 0, although we won't keep them there for long. The third number is the width of the bar, and I've already determined all my widths, right? And I saved them as width. So I'll do width. And the last number is the height of the bar, so I'll do height. So you should be able to run this and have a working bar graph. Yep. So we left up a piece of code. We have to add to X location the width 50, right? Or however much it is. So X location plus equals width, so that you're always shifting a little bit more to the right. Now you should be able to run it, and it would work. Yeah. Yes, they are coming down. We will color them in a minute. Okay. So now, so I just had a genius idea. Yay. And I'm going to change this 300 to 255. It's going to be great. It'll be. We'll deal with it with the colors in just a minute. All right. So first things first, we're going to change it so that the bars start at the bottom, which is a really good idea, right? Why, yes. All the bars, they're going to start at the bottom of the line instead of at the top, because right now they're all hanging bars. Oh, I changed this 300 on the height multiplier. Oh, no, sorry. I want to change this one to 255. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll do this one. We'll do height multiplier. Sorry.
All right, Mr. Barrett.
I'm going on the fly here. It's fun. Okay. But I know how to do this part. We're going to do the y value for the draw rectangle. So what we need to do is we need to say 300 minus the height. I hope so. Yay, it works. And I'm going to set the color to be 100, height 150. That's cool. And if you'd really like to see the colors, you can change this draw to a fill. Now, I also want to see my the outline drawn of the bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this same line, but as a draw, after I set the color to be black again. So the final thing we're going to do is we're going to add the labels to the graph. So after I draw my outlines, I want my labels to be black. So then I'm going to do a G dot, draw string. And the way drawstring works is you put the string first, and then you put the X position that you want it and the Y position. And I'm just giving you a heads up, we're going to have to tinker with it a little bit. So don't get all married to the numbers as you see them. I want to do the name first. And then I want to do a space. And then I'm going to put the number of votes they got. The X position will try with X location. And we'll put it at 300 minus the height. Run that and see how it looks. Except for Nemo.
And monsters, you can just monsters.
Right. So what we find is that when we do this, we're drawing our Toy Story stuff later, right? So it's doing all of that at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be crazy, and after this loop, I'm going to do scan.close. And I just care this much to make all my text come on top. So what I'm going to do is after all my stuff's drawn, I'm going to open the file, I'm going to open that scanner again, I'm going to do the whole thing, but this time I'm not going to draw my bars. So I'm just going to delete those lines. So I'm going to highlight the entire loop again. I'm going to highlight the entire thing again. I'm going to copy it. Actually, I need this scan right here. And I need my X location equals 0. Yep. So it's highlighted from X location equals 0 all the way down to the end of my loop. Copied it. Copy and pasting is so dangerous. But I'm going to do it anyway because I don't want to retype all this. Well, it's dangerous because sometimes you don't know what you copy and pasted, and so then you get confused as to what you were doing. And then I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to get rid of all the places that I filled in rectangles. I paste it right below the close. So then when I run it, all my words show up on top of the bars. I'm actually drawing where you fill in the rectangles, because what we're doing is we're actually reading the file 3 times. The first time, we figure out how many movies there are, and we figure out what the tallest bar is. The second time, we draw the bars. And the third time, we go through and we draw all the labels. Right? So we're actually scanning the file 3 different times. And we have a bar graph. So we added a little label at the bottom, and we changed the values. And even if we add things to the text file, we still get bar graphs that are customized to the information that we put in. And we're done.